Right now, though, we're talking about a very big topic, bullying. It is a very common problem across the globe, and the after effects can haunt a child forever. But what do you do if your child is the one causing harm? What if he or she is the bully? Now, we are joined in studio this morning by a family therapist and social worker, Talya Ressel, to just give us a bit of an inside info, maybe some parenting advice on this as well. Talya, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, this is a very, very big issue, and it's something that I also very much support, is to raise awareness around bullying with having also my two boys at home. But let's start right at the beginning. What causes a child to want to be a bully? What are some of those reasons?
Well, there's no one specific reason. I think we have to look at there's a few reasons that will lead a child in that direction. And often what it is it's a child who's got low self-esteem. They're not feeling good about themselves. We get children who have experienced difficult times themselves. Maybe they've been bullied, maybe they've witnessed violence or unhappiness, and they want to try deal with their emotions by causing other people pain. They think, then I'll get back to them. We get kids who are wanting to bully to maintain their power or popularity. I mean, that's what happens with the social dynamic within schools or in environments with kids. They're doing it, it's fulfilling a reason. Whatever the reason is, though, what I feel so important is it's telling us that the child is not happy, that they're in distress. And I'm so glad you're doing this topic, because we've got so much out there for victims of bullying, and absolutely that's a priority. But the child that's doing the bullying needs our help just as much. There's a reason that they're doing the bullying, and we need to try and support them to address it in a better way.
And as soon as possible as well, because taking that behavior into adulthood as well can spell disaster for his or her own life as well.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the parents, is it normal for parents maybe to go into denial, become very protective once they recognize maybe some bullying behavior, trying to just, turn heads the other way?
Yeah, well, absolutely. No one wants to think that it's their child.
It's your baby.
It's your baby, and also it doesn't mean you're an awful parent. So I think it's very common for parents to get that shock. It's usually you finding out by another source, like whether the school or another parent's called you. But after that moment of shock, we have to take a deep breath. I'm a parent myself. I don't want to think my little babies are capable of anything else than perfect behavior. But they are, and they act different in different environments. So when you get that moment, take a breath. Just catch yourself. You can give yourself a few minutes to say, listen, okay, I'll get back to you. And then try and consider that your child is different to when they're around you. They act out in different ways, and they're not all bad. I mean, bullying behavior does not mean that your child is evil or a bad child. It means that they're trying to deal with some emotions in a less helpful way.
Exactly. Maybe there is something happening at home that you as a parent are not aware of, and that translates into your kid, showing some certain behavior as well. So once you've recognized as a parent and you've taken that breath, what do you do? What is the first step in addressing the problem of your child being a bully?
I would say first listen. So hear what the other sources are telling you once you've had that breath.
Process.
Yes, process. Give yourself a moment. Phone somebody and vent. But then go to your child when you're calmer and speak to them. You want to ask them why. So you're not coming in critically, blaming, judgment, because it's so important that we separate the behavior from the child. We're not happy, it's not okay with that behavior, but it's not about that child. Because if we shame them and criticize them, we're going to make the problem worse. So you're going to talk to them, you're going to try and find out why, what's driven that behavior, what has led them to it.
There's almost always a reason for that behavior. At the end
they might not know it, they might not be able to say it straight away, but our role is to try and help them. And then the second part of that would be consequences.
Yes.
Very important. There has to be consequences to this behavior, because we're teaching them that it's not okay. And that would need to be a clear consequence, logical, direct, and also in relation to that behavior, their age, the context. So I can't say this must be the consequence, but you need to figure out what it is.
Awesome. Talya, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We are going to be continuing this discussion a little bit later on this morning. But if you want to weigh in on top of this conversation, you're more than welcome to connect with us on our social media pages as well. Use that hashtag Expresso Show. And if you have anything on your mind, please share that with us. We'll be back with Talya in just a bit.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Right, now earlier on this morning we spoke about some of the constructive things that parents can do if your child is a bully, and we're continuing that conversation right now with family therapist and social worker Talya Ressel this morning. Talya, once again, thank you very much and welcome back. Welcome back. Did you have yourself a cup of coffee? Relax, hey? It's a Wednesday, middle of the week. Lovely. Cool. So bullying is a big issue. A lot of the time there's a huge focus on children being bullied, but not actually addressing the actual bullying and what you need to do from a parent's perspective. So I think first and foremost, what do you feel are some of the signs that a child is leaning towards being a bully?
Well, I mean, there's the more traditional sign in terms of if you see that your child gets quite violent or physical, often with other children. But also important to look at is your child struggling to empathize with other children? Really, that is to put themselves in their shoes, to feel bad about their behavior, that remorse. Those are the signs we want to look for. Are their friends bullies? Because if you're hanging out with other children who engage in that behavior, in one way you're associating with that. So that would be a red flag for parents. And I think overall just keeping an eye on changes in their behavior, things that just don't sit right. I believe parents know their kids. So something would give you that little niggle if you feel that that behavior could be a problem.
Is there a specific age at what children can start kind of showing these signs and symptoms? Because if I'm taking a look at my boys now, my eldest being 6, he's going to grade 1 next year. Is there a kind of age where children start showing those signs?
I think that there needs to be a more developed understanding, because we've got to remember bullying is not being mean or having a fight. Bullying is a very specific behavior that's targeted, it's systematic, there's a power dynamic. So little children, when I hear, the 3-year-old's bullying, well, a 3-year-old can't bully because they're not planning to go and get that child and use that power dynamic. So it is more older. And particularly as we get to teens and adolescents, we're seeing a lot more cyberbullying, obviously, because then it goes more into their digital lives. So I would say it's slightly older.
So it's just rough play when,
it's important that we don't use the word bullying for everything.
That's the thing.
Because then it just gets watered down. Bullying is a very serious issue with that power dynamic.
Absolutely. We also spoke about the fact that parents seems to get very protective or go into denial with regards to their children. But what are some of the fundamental mistakes that parents make in addressing the issue once they realize it is present?
Ignoring it would be a very bad mistake parents can make. Denying it, obviously. Rejecting what the school says or other parents. So not engaging with it. Pretending that it's not there is not going to help. Also becoming very harsh and severe punishment for the child. You're just going to repeat that cycle. If you're going to bully your child, in essence, and use your power onto them, they're not going to have an opportunity to learn from their mistake. And that, I wanted to mention last time as well, so important. It's not just the consequence, but we have to give our children the chance to make repair, to say sorry, to feel remorse, because that's how they change their behavior.
Any final words of advice this morning? Because it is such a big topic and it's very hard to put it into a nutshell. There's so much going on. But what would you say, specifically maybe to parents out there? Because, I mean, as parents, you feel bad, and it's not necessarily your fault that it's happening.
I'd say to parents, communicate, monitor your child, have that relationship with them where you can pick up what's going on. And to remember that it's not a case of if your child has done bullying behavior, that this is them as a delinquent, that their behavior is now set for life. Children are learning, they're making mistakes as they go along. So we want to help them learn in new ways. So keep engaging with your child, talk to them, encourage, you model that behavior. If you're doing that, don't expect your child not to do it. So that I would say to parents, just keep that open channel and awareness.
Absolutely, and have conversations with your children. I don't think it happens enough. People are too busy. Parents are busy with work and just trying to keep everything together. That the conversation fall by the wayside.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Talya. Really appreciate it. You've got a website where people maybe can, talk to you if they have also any questions or queries. It's talyaressel.co.za. That is the one. And connect with her. It really is a big topic. But at the meantime, stay focused on your children and have those conversations.